Today I am sharing the 5 money mistakes that I made in my 20s so that you can avoid making these mistakes in your 20s or even later in life, so you can become financially free even sooner. Because I know if I would have avoided these mistakes, then I would have become financially free way before age 38. And I did do a few things right in my 20s. A lot of videos like this will probably tell you to stay out of student loan debt, which I did, and to keep your housing costs really low, which I did, and to not buy a super expensive car that you can't really afford, which I did, and make sure that you are keeping a budget, keeping track of your money, which I did as well. So while I recommend doing all of those things, there are a few other things that I want to share with you that you may have not heard yet, that is really going to help you get your money in order and be able to become financially free even earlier than you think. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I quit my 9-to-5 job at age 36 and became a millionaire at age 40. So if you want to do those things, even at a younger age, make sure to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we are going to dive right in. All right, the first money mistake that I made was not investing more in the stock market sooner. This is one of the largest mistakes, and I can't emphasize this point enough. We need to be investing as much as possible, as soon as possible, because it's going to make the biggest difference in our lives. While I was contributing to my 401k and I was getting the match that my employer was offering, I wasn't investing anything more. I wasn't maxing out my 401k, and I didn't set up a Roth IRA or even a traditional IRA in my 20s. And I also didn't set up a brokerage account in my 20s either. While I did invest some money, it was not nearly as much as I could have been investing. The more time we allow compound interest to work for us, the more money we are going to have. I want to share an example with what I'm talking about. I just want to share this quick example with you. I pulled up a compound interest calculator. And for this example, we're going to say that I already have $10,000 invested. And I decide, okay, I can afford to take $200 per paycheck, which would be a total of $400 per month, to invest. And we're going to invest that over a period of 20 years. So from when I was 20 until I turned 40. And we're going to use a 10% rate of return, which honestly, I have gotten so much more than that on my stock market investments. But 10% is a good place to start for the rate of return. And if we had that money invested, then our balance would be $379,620, which means I could have easily bought another property with this amount of money. And you can take a look at this graph. So all of the green portion is the compound interest. That's the money that we are earning on the money that we put in. So this blue area at the bottom is the money that we've put in. So you can see how much more we have earned in compound interest. You can see by leaving it in there as long as possible, the more and more it will grow. So it is so important to invest as much as possible, as early as possible. And the second money mistake that I made in my 20s was not investing more in real estate properties. I bought my first property when I was 25 years old, and I am so glad I bought then. I got 2 roommates to help cover the mortgage, and I didn't end up purchasing my next property until about 10 years later. And I really wish I would have purchased that second property in my 20s and my third and fourth properties as well, because I also purchased those in my 30s. But looking back, if I would have purchased all of those properties while I was in my 20s, I would have been financially free way sooner. And I feel like real estate has made the biggest difference in helping me achieve financial freedom. Because by investing in those properties and then putting renters in there, I'm able to create cash flow each month, and that's what's covering my living expenses. I've seen all of those properties increase in value over time dramatically. And not only that, I've also increased rent prices over time. I am able to have my renters cover the mortgage payment, plus the HOA payment if there is one, the homeowners association payment, and any expenses that I have associated with each property, plus have some extra left over. So this is a really good setup. And if you want to know the details on how I had purchased my 4 properties, I do have a video about that, so I will leave a link above and below in the description, and you can check that out after this video is over. The third money mistake that I made in my 20s was not really spending my money consciously. I had a budget and, I would take a look at that and say, okay, I spent this much on utilities this month and this much on gas and this much on food, whatever it was. But it was more of just a guideline for me so I could see what I was spending and then think, okay, I could probably adjust here and there. But I wasn't really clear on my priorities. I wasn't spending my money very consciously. I used to spend a lot of money on clothing. And yes, I had a separate line item in my budget for clothing, and I really didn't need to do that. I would go shopping with my girlfriends all the time. We would do trips to Ross, and while it was fun to get together with them, I spent a lot of money on clothes that I did not need to be spending. I did not need more clothes whatsoever. And a little later in life, I really started to focus in on what my priorities were, and I started to spend my money more consciously. So instead of having a budget for clothing, a high budget for clothing, what I thought was high, I put that money toward a down payment on another property because I started to see how effective investing really was. And that if my money was working for me, then I could eventually stop working for the money. And there were things important to me in my 20s that I did spend money on. I love to travel, and so I took a lot of vacations. And each of those vacations I could afford. I saved my money so that I could take trips. So that was one thing that I did right, but I could have done that a lot better because I was spending money on things that really weren't that important, that weren't really going to bring me happiness or joy. It would just be, oh, I have a new cute dress to wear to church. And once I wore it a few times, I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy another one and another. And I really didn't need to do that. It wasn't bringing me lasting joy. And another thing that a lot of people say is to not eat out. And I was actually pretty good at this. I brought my lunch to work probably 99% of the time. And if you're curious how I did that, I did create a video, so I will leave a link above and below, and you can check that out. So I did have some priorities, but I feel like there was a lot of room for me to get more clear on those priorities. So I want you to just take a minute and think about what your priorities really are, and are you spending money on those priorities, or are you not? Are you spending on things that aren't really bringing you lasting joy or happiness? Because by getting this in order, by spending consciously, you're going to be a happier person and you aren't going to have as many regrets on spending money on certain things. And to go along with this, if there are things that you want to spend money on that you think would bring that lasting joy or that happiness, then here is another way to look at this. And I learned this concept from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I will leave a link below in the description, and you can check out that book if you want to. I found it very, very helpful. So you can actually think, all right, well, if I want to buy a Camaro, let's say, then what can I invest my money in right now that will provide me with the cash to buy that Camaro later? So start to think about what assets that you can accumulate right now, not liabilities, things that are going to just take your money, but assets, things that are going to grow your money, make your money work for you, like investing in real estate or in the stock market. Think about, okay, if I invest my money now in this certain fund in the stock market, then that will grow over time and I will eventually have enough to buy my Camaro. And that way you're not taking out a loan to pay for your Camaro that isn't going to create money for you. But you can still buy that Camaro. It kind of becomes a fun little game you can play with yourself. And you can think, all right, well, in 5 years, if I want to buy this certain thing, then I'm going to start investing my money right now so that I can buy that thing and still buy something else because I will still have money in my investments. Money mistake number 4 that I made in my 20s was being so risk averse. I was really scared to invest my money. I loved saving it. I had no problem putting it in my savings account, but investing it seemed so risky to me. And even when I did invest that money, like I said, in my 401k, I invested in things that weren't as risky as I could have been investing in. And all that means is you have a little bit higher risk, but that means your return can be higher as well. So I had some money in bonds, and I didn't need that. I was young. I was in my 20s. I didn't need that money right away. So I really should have been investing in things that were riskier so that I could have my money grow even more over time. And not only was I risk adverse with my investments, but also what I was doing with my life. I was fine working a 9-to-5 job, working for someone else and collecting that paycheck every 2 weeks. But really, I should have been focusing on, okay, well, what's a skill that I can learn right now where I could create a little extra income and eventually turn that into passive income? And this could be something very simple. I could have learned to code and make a little money on the side. And the possibilities with this are pretty much endless. You could start a coding class and learn how to code and make extra money on the side and eventually turn that into your full-time gig. Or you could learn how to program and build your own websites and start creating passive income from those. And I've also heard of someone in the Choose FI, Choose Financial Independence community, who learned how to do Google ads. And Google had a free class on that, so he took the class and started doing a business doing Google ads. And that became very successful for him. So there's just lots of little opportunities out there that if you're willing to take a little bit of risk, then you can have a really high reward. And I wish I would have started my YouTube channel even earlier, but it made me a little nervous to put videos out there. So I held off for a really long time. But I'm glad I did eventually start my YouTube channel so that I can share all of this content with you guys and try to make a difference somewhere. Take some risks that you wouldn't normally take, and especially while you're in your 20s. You have so much more time to overcome those mistakes if they end up being a mistake, or you have so much time to grow that money that you could be making. And money mistake number 5, the last money mistake that I want to share with you that I made in my 20s, and this may not seem like it's directly related to money, but I feel like it really is. This one was not looking for mentors as much as I should have. I had one mentor who was one of my friends who was really successful with real estate, and he actually helped me buy my first property. I asked him a ton of questions, and he's not a real estate agent or anything like that, but I had just seen his success and knew that I could ask him questions and he would give me valuable answers. And honestly, I wish I would have done this more. I wish I would have taken more people to lunch that were in spots where I wanted to be. They had what I wanted. And I feel like you can learn so much by just taking someone to lunch or meeting up with them and just asking some questions about how they've created their success and what mistakes they've made along the way, what they would do differently, and what advice they have for you, and just being open to learning. I feel like sometimes we might be afraid to approach someone that we see is so successful and think, oh, they probably wouldn't have any time for me. But if we don't reach out, then we don't know if they do or not. One thing I love about life is that you can learn lessons from other people. We don't have to make all of the mistakes ourselves, which is one of the reasons why I'm sharing this video today, so that you can learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to make those mistakes. And if you are seeking out people that are in the spot where you want to be and you're asking them questions, then you can get to where you want to be a lot faster and with a lot less mistakes. So think about some friends that you might have that are in better situations than you, that are really good at certain things that you want to be good at. Or maybe your friends' parents are really successful. Or there's business owners where you want to start your own business in what they've already created their business in. And when you're reaching out to people, don't just take. Offer to buy them lunch, or offer to be an unpaid intern for them, or offer to help them with something that you can help them with. But start looking for people that are further along where you want to be eventually. Tell me in the comments which one of these mistakes are you not going to make, or if you are already out of your 20s, which mistake did you make that you regret the most, so we can learn from one another. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.